unlike the others, this was not an afterthought. They have had 1, 2, and counting opportunities at their own, what they stand for in terms of manifestos. Main one they say, and a second one they call a miniature baby type of manifesto. I don't know what the terminology is. And even since then, they have been commenting, flip-flopping as to what they stand for. Today, they're going to fund 3.5 by organic growth. Tomorrow, it's going to be by primary surplus. It's just all over the place. And, you know, I have to describe them as they remind me of strays. You know, forget where they're coming from and don't know where they're going. And that's not the way to run a country. That is a highly risky experiment if we were to ever consider, Jamaicans that is, giving them an opportunity. We, on the other hand, have been very confident in our position. We speak with conviction. We have no second thought about what we're doing, and we're prepared to explain it all. So in terms of the minimum wage, we don't want to be placed in their group of being uncertain, because on page 94 of the manifesto, the main manifesto, of course, we have the 100 highlights. I think that's on page 40. It is 74. So on page 90 of the main manifesto, and I'll read, we will build on our record of a minimum wage increases by continuing to review cost of living, inflation, as well as our economic and employment conditions, ensuring that work lifts people out of poverty and delivers a decent standard of living for every Jamaican worker. It is in the manifesto. Now, we can argue over the specifics of it. Manifestos are not intended to give specifics. That comes after the fact with a discussion. So we're not like them, and we don't want to be considered or placed in that category. Now, the Prime Minister, in his wisdom and his responsibility to the people of Jamaica, sought to give some greater specifics last evening, and that's quite in order. And in that respect, he indicated his intentions as the leader under the next administration to double the minimum wage over a 5-year period. I want to say a few things quickly on that. Firstly, 9 years since we took office, when we took office, minimum wage was 6,000. Today, it is 16,000. That's a 156%, 58% increase. So we have a legacy of demonstrating that we can improve the economics in keeping with our desire to address living standards among the population and those who need it most in this instance. Secondly, it's important to note, and this is a response to what the PNP is claiming, because we are not like them, that this is a phased approach over 5 years. Prime Minister said that it's not an afterthought, that we will begin at 18,500 in the next budget, which is very doable, and perhaps most importantly, on the issue of whether or not it will impact unemployment. It is important to note that this government has never advanced one policy position in isolation of the overall macroeconomic and microeconomic management of the economy. The fact that it is being phased should also be taken into consideration with the fact that we are doing several other things that are going to impact productivity on one hand, which is essential to offering more. The renegotiation of the JPS license, energy cost is a big factor. The training and expansion of training on the heart to prepare our labor force to be more productive. The digitization of government to make things easier so that decisions can be taken quicker, because transaction time and transaction cost are important to productivity improvements. The expansion of our logistics network as a country to make movement of people, early arrival at work, etc., is critical. the development of other economic activities which have already started, whether it is the special free zones, special economic zones at Caymanas, or the port facilities where our logistics hub is being built out. And I could go on if time would allow. The point that is important to be made is that we have not advanced a proposal for doubling the minimum wage in isolation of the overarching government policy to advance variables towards improving productivity. And the fact that it is being phased is also, or should also be, comfort to those who may have some concerns about cost and whether it would impact their cost of operation, or indeed if it would impact employment levels. We believe it is doable, and we are resting our case on the fact that we have done it in the past. The Prime Minister was clear to say that the country is moving now in a direction where it can in fact take off on a much steeper trajectory towards growth, because we have paid down the debt, we have stabilized the economy, the macroeconomics, we have addressed crime, or certainly are addressing it. And by the way, crime and security is a big cost of production, where people need multiple security guards and so on. Those things cost money. So all of those things, we believe, will augur well. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he was clear to say, offering more to those who need it most is an overarching policy of the government to address those that are most economically vulnerable in our society. This is not an offer to those who already have. And yes, they may want more, and with justification. This is an offer for a 500,000-600,000 population that are at a stage of their economic development or evolution where they need a livable wage. And our government has always said, while employment is high, there are those in the population that we need to lift up further to get better employment and better returns on their labor, even while we help them to improve the productivity of their labor. So we believe that the PNP's argument is a non-argument, and we dismiss it. We believe that the other persons in the population, like small business operators, employers, is an argument that we are prepared to provide further particulars on, an explanation, because we feel we have an obligation to further explain, and I'm making that explanation